Today's Community Moment presenter has presented more community moments than any, I think he's going to continue to hold this title as the Oasis movement grows and we have new Oasis communities emerging around the country. I think we can now award him the title of like the national community moment champion, because I know no one in Kansas City has done as many as you have. So I like to call him the Lou Garahag of community moments. Let's welcome up our friend Lou Kana.
There we go. Okay. This is my best laid plans community moment. I thought I had everything in order, but as of an hour and a half ago, two things went wrong with my presentation. The first slide and the last one. So I got to do a little juggling, so bear with me. In any case, the first slide was supposed to be a quiz about 30 miles west of Sydney, Australia. It turns out a number of you already know the answer, so we won't take time on that. Catherine, please. 30 miles west of Sydney, Australia is a very large national park. The Blue Mountains, which are absolutely lovely, are at the foot of one of the world's largest national parks. The name Blue Mountains is derived from the blue tinge the range takes on when viewed from a distance. They are in one of 7 national parks combined into the Greater Blue Mountains World Heritage Area. This area of 2.5 million acres, Yellowstone is 2.2, give you an idea. A recent find in the Blue Mountains turned out to be Wollemi, W-O-L-L-E-M-I pines, which matched fossils from the Jurassic period. So they've been around for a while. So that's a picture of part of the, yes. So, okay, try one more.
Down or up?
Down. No, back. Again, yeah. Now you know about the Blue Mountains. You all know who that is, yeah? That's Charles Darwin. And as it turns out, on his voyage of the Beagle, which started out to be a 2-year trip and turned out to be 5 between 1831 and 1836, he spent 12 days. The Beagle anchored in the harbor of Sydney, where the famous opera house is, and he hung around for a few days and then headed west to the Blue Mountains. And he thought the scenery was kind of boring until he got to the Jameson Valley. So one more, please, Catherine. Yeah, so that's pretty spectacular. So you get 2.5 million acres of that. Not hard to take, so it's on my bucket list. There's another thing that I hope to do someday that I probably won't. But now, what's special about this is that we all know that Charles Darwin visited the Galapagos Islands. As it turns out, his theory of evolution really took form in the Blue Mountains. This is when Darwin questioned creationism for the first time. In effect, he came out of the closet. This is when he really started to wonder about how things have evolved and why there were species on one continent and did the same thing species are on another continent. So 20 years later, when he finally had the courage to write about his finds in the Galapagos Islands and in the Blue Mountains, he said, "I feel no remorse from having committed any great sin, but have often regretted that I have not done more direct good to my fellow creatures." So, okay. Yes, so maybe this will show you why it actually took 5 years on his journey. It started in England and then went down the east coast of South America, past Tierra del Fuego, and then stopped in the Galapagos Islands for some time, and then headed across the Pacific and stopped for 12 or 14 days in Sydney. And then he made a few stops on his way back. So it's no wonder that that took 5 years. Okay, please, Catherine. There's something very special about this waterfall. Darwin was a very patient man, and he could sit and wonder about things and stare at things indefinitely. and he spent a lot of time at this waterfall. There is actually a plaque, and you can find it online. And I have a picture of the plaque here, but I can't read it, and I couldn't read the one online either. It's too blurry, but it's a testimony to his stopping here. So, once more, please. Yeah, that's the plaque. And I would read it to you, except I can't read it. It's too blurry, and even the one online was too blurry, but maybe you'll be able to figure it out. Okay, so. In the waning sun, Darwin sat by a creek and pondered why the animals of Australia were so eccentric in appearance. The kangaroo rats had behaved just like English rabbits. And even as he considered this, a fierce-looking antlion dug the same conical pit before his eyes as the smaller English antlion would do. From the book Charles Darwin in Australia by Frank Nicholas, quote, "The obvious question was, if you were an omnipotent creator, why would you bother going to all the trouble of designing two different species to occupy very similar ecological niches?" From the book Darwin's Armada, University of Sydney professor Ian McCallman said, "At no other time on the Beagle voyage did Darwin raise the issue, and afterwards he buried it for a further 20 years. Darwin could stare for hours at a platypus thinking, it just doesn't make sense. Why had God made the water rat for Europe and North America and the platypus for Australia? It's terrifying, really." Okay, yeah, that's a platypus, as many of you know. It's a pretty odd animal. When Darwin sent a specimen back to London, British biologists thought that it was a hoax and fabricated from different animals. But it really got Darwin thinking about how things have evolved. So, this brings us to the fun part. Charles Darwin had 8 children. You wonder when he had the time, huh? I mean, he was on a boat for 5 years, and that wasn't the only voyage. I had 250 direct descendants. Chris, back, please. Yeah. Chris Darwin was one of them. He's 53 years old. He was raised in London, had a successful career, and decided he didn't like corporate world, so he moved his wife and his 3 boys to the Blue Mountains. Okay? He is the great-great-grandson of Charles Darwin, so he is a direct descendant. He has honors degrees in biology and physical geography. If we have time, I have a little biography of him, but I don't know that I have time, so I may not. Okay, so here comes the fun part. Yeah, okay. Later this year, Chris Darwin will cycle across the United States with others to help save 5 species from extinction. The results will be filmed from a documentary, Darwin's Unfinished Business. Chris Darwin said, "My ancestor Charles discovered the origin of the species. I just want to stop their mass disappearance." Okay, so he's stopping in Houston.
Yes.
That's what I thought. February 1st to 4th, 2016. That happens to be Monday through Thursday. So I sent him an email and asked him if he'd be willing to make a presentation to the secular community of Houston. And he said yes. Hold on. Remember I said something about the last slide? Yeah. Well, I started to think, what site could we use during the week where a lot of the secular communities from Houston could meet? So where did I think we would meet? How about the restaurant Darwin's Theory? Yeah? Cool? Okay, that's the good news. Here's the bad news. I got an email this morning. One of his prime sources of funds has dropped out. So as of right now, this trip is on hold. It was to start in New York on October 31st of this year and continue on to well into the next year. Right now, it's on hold. I'm sorry. disappointed as I was so excited. I could sit down and talking about his great-great-grandfather, but so we'll see. I'll keep you posted. You know, we got plenty of time. Okay, so Catherine, one more. By the way, that website is Darwin's Unfinished Business. That's where you can find out more about the tour. So I kind of scrambled a bit and I said, well, I need to do an upside to this presentation. So I got this out of the Chronicle. It's from the comic BC. And there's a bird here talking to BC, and he's saying, I'm an apteryx, a wingless bird with hairy feathers. And then the caveman person says, what exactly can I do for you? And the bird says, what does it mean?
I'd like to sue.
I'd like to sue Charles Darwin. Okay, we are done unless you have questions. Okay, thank you all.